You wake up with a name in your wallet and no memory of ever earning it. That is the first thing that should scare you. The second thing is this. Someone already knew you would ask questions. Because on the nightstand, under the wallet, under the room key, under the cheap motel pen, there is a note waiting for you. Do not call anyone. You sit up too fast. Your head throbs. Not sharp pain. Heavy pain. The kind that feels borrowed. The kind that makes the whole room seem half a second behind your eyes. The ceiling above you is white. Cracked in one corner. There is a water stain stretching across the plaster in a shape that almost looks familiar, but nothing in this room is familiar enough to trust. The mattress beneath you is thin. The sheets smell like industrial detergent. The air conditioner rattles in the window like it has been losing the same fight for 20 years. There is a dresser with 3 drawers. A bathroom with a buzzing fluorescent light. A kitchenette with 2 burners, a mini fridge, a coffee mug turned upside down on a towel. Everything is clean. Everything is arranged. Everything feels temporary. Like someone built a life in a hurry and left before you woke up inside it. You reach for the wallet again. Brown leather. Worn edges. Fake history pressed into every corner. Inside, a driver's license. Wisconsin. Daniel Aaron Mercer. That is the name staring back at you. The photo is your face. Same eyes. Same nose. Same mouth. But it is not you. Or at least, it does not feel like you. The address says Milwaukee. You have never seen Milwaukee. Never walked its streets. Never paid rent there. Never lived that life. There is cash folded behind the license. Crisp bills. Sequential serial numbers. A debit card in the same name. A grocery loyalty card. A library card. A receipt from a gas station dated 2 days ago. Whoever built this identity did not stop at paperwork. They built habits. Then you unfold the note. Do not call anyone from your previous life. Do not search your real name online. Your contact will come to you. Wait. There is a phone number beneath it. No name. Just one last line. Emergencies only. And that is when the real fear arrives. Not because you are in danger. Because you cannot remember what your real name is. You close your eyes and try. Nothing. Not your name. Not your street. Not your mother's face. Not a birthday. Not a voice. Nothing solid. Just fragments. A courthouse hallway. A hand gripping your shoulder. Flashbulb white lights. The smell of coffee and gun oil. A sentence you almost remember hearing. This is for your protection. You open your eyes again and stare at the room. Protection from who? Protection for what? And then the answer hits you before memory does. Witness protection. You are in witness protection. And somewhere, in a federal file you will never be allowed to see, the person you used to be has already been buried. This is your life now. And it starts at the bottom. The United States Marshal Service runs the Federal Witness Security Program. WITSEC. Since 1971, they have relocated thousands of witnesses and even more family members. The number the government likes to repeat is always the same. Not a single witness who followed the program's rules has ever been killed. That sounds comforting until you realize what it really means. The system does not save you by making you safe. It saves you by making you unreachable. On your second morning, your contact arrives. 3 knocks. Pause. 1 knock. Exactly the pattern written in the motel welcome folder you were too dazed to question the night before. You open the door. He is wearing jeans, running shoes, and a grey jacket.
No visible bag. No visible weapon.
Clean haircut. Tired eyes. The kind of face you would forget while you were still looking at it. That is probably why he still has the job. He steps inside, scans the room once, checks the window blind with 2 fingers, then puts a manila envelope on the kitchenette counter. Mr. Mercer, he says. You almost tell him that is not your name. Instead you ask, who am I? He studies you for 1 second too long. Then he says, right now, you're the man who stays alive. He opens the envelope. Inside is your new world. A social security number already active in federal databases. A birth certificate from Ohio. A lease agreement for a 1-bedroom apartment in Milwaukee. First 3 months paid. A bank account with a modest balance. A printed resume for a job in warehouse logistics. A prepaid phone. A list of instructions. He tells you the rules in a voice so calm it makes the rules sound normal. Rule 1. No contact with anyone from your previous life. No family. No friends. No old co-workers.
No exes.
No one who knew you before the transfer. Rule 2. No digital footprint.
No social media.
No searching your name. No searching your case.
No curiosity.
Curiosity gets people found. Rule 3. Your story is simple. You moved from Columbus, Ohio. You worked in logistics. Your parents are dead. You have no siblings. You are private. Quiet. Boring. Boring is good, he says. Then he slides a laminated card toward you. Deputy Marshal T. Greer. 1 number. Every Tuesday at 7, I call. If everything is normal, you say clear. If something feels wrong, you say cloudy. You do not explain over the phone. You do not improvise. You do not get creative. He taps the motel table once with one finger. You already survived the hard part. Don't die trying to remember it. Then he leaves. And the silence that settles after the door closes is worse than being alone. Because alone implies you were once with someone. This is emptier than that. This is the feeling of having been disconnected from your own life so completely that even your memories no longer report back. 3 days later you move into the apartment. 4th floor.
Beige hallway.
Smell of carpet cleaner and old cooking oil. The woman in 4B nods at you while dragging in groceries. You nod back because Daniel Mercer would probably nod. The apartment is small but permanent enough to be dangerous. A couch no one chose. A table with 2 chairs even though you live alone. Window blinds. Plain dishes. 2 towels. 1 framed print on the wall of a lake in autumn. It is the kind of apartment meant to offend no one and interest no one. The program understands something about survival that movies never do. Being hidden is not enough. You have to be forgettable. The first month is the hardest because every object asks a question you cannot answer. Why do you drink coffee black? What side of the bed do you sleep on? Do you hum when you cook? Did you ever cook? Did you used to love music? Were you kind? Were you dangerous? Were you the kind of person people missed? You stand in the kitchen one night holding a can opener for almost a full minute because your hand knows what to do but your mind does not remember learning it. That is when you realize the damage is stranger than amnesia. You have not forgotten how to function. You have forgotten who taught you how. A week later Greer calls. You answer on the 2nd ring. Clear, you say. It is the first lie of your new life. Because nothing is clear. You start work in a warehouse 6 weeks after relocation. Inventory Control Assistant. That is the title on paper. The warehouse manager shakes your hand, glances at your resume, and tells you to start with pallet counts and incoming scans. The work is simple. Boxes. Barcodes. Forklift beeps. Fluorescent light. Steel shelving. Men who talk about sports and back pain and overtime. It should feel ordinary. That is the problem. It almost does. The resume was built for you by someone good. The references answer when called. The payroll information matches the social security number. The tax records are clean. Your name flows through systems that were designed to catch fraud and somehow none of them flinch. The government did not just hide you. It replaced you. By month 3, you know which cashier at the grocery store talks too much. You know what time the laundromat is emptiest. You know which floorboard in your apartment clicks near the bathroom. You know how long the walk from the parking lot to your unit takes when it's raining. This is what adaptation looks like. Not courage. Repetition. But something begins happening around the edges of that repetition. Your brain starts grieving. Not loudly. Not in scenes. In moments. You hear a laugh at work and turn because some part of you thinks you know it. You do not. You see an Akron, Ohio weather report on a muted television in a waiting room and your chest tightens before you even know why. One morning at the coffee machine, a coworker asks where in Columbus you grew up. And for half a second you freeze. Not because you do not know the answer. The program gave you one. Westerville. North Side. Near Cleveland Avenue. You freeze because some deeper part of you is waiting for the real answer to arrive. It never does. That night you sit in your Honda Civic in the grocery store parking lot for 23 minutes with the engine off and the bags in the passenger seat. You could go upstairs. You could make dinner. You could live this life. But the apartment suddenly feels like someone else's mouth trying to speak with your voice. Greer calls on Tuesday. Clear, you say again. There should be a code word for identity collapse. There is not. By month 6 you start dreaming. The dreams are never complete. A courthouse corridor. Bright overhead lights. Someone in handcuffs smiling at you in a way that means he is not afraid. A woman crying in a kitchen. Your own hands signing something with a pen that keeps slipping. Men in suits speaking in careful tones. A plane cabin. A motel room. A sentence repeated over and over by a voice you cannot place. You can never go back. You wake up with the sentence in your mouth and no idea whether it was a warning or a promise. At 1 year, your status changes in ways no one announces directly. The Tuesday calls become less frequent. The emergency payments stop. Greer says, you're stabilized. That is the word. Stabilized. As if you are a patient. As if the old you was the injury and this new life is the treatment. You now file a monthly update instead of talking every week. Address confirmed. Employment confirmed. Any unusual contacts.
Any suspicious vehicles.
Any indication someone is looking. You almost laugh the first time you fill it out. How would you know? You do not remember your enemies. You only know they were dangerous enough to require this. A threat assessment arrives a few weeks later through Greer. He does not let you keep it long. Most of it is blacked out. The parts you can read are written in the language governments use when they want reality to sound manageable. Primary subjects remain incarcerated. Associated network partially disrupted. Residual threat environment active but contained. Contained. You stare at that word and understand something immediately. Contained does not mean gone. Contained means there is still something alive inside the box. By now you have become good at living small. You wear neutral clothes. You drive neutral routes. You speak enough to seem normal and not enough to be remembered. You have learned that the safest version of yourself is a man no one would describe in detail if police ever asked. Average height. Brown hair. Quiet. Works in logistics. You are disappearing successfully. And the strange thing is this. Part of you begins to take pride in it. Because what is survival, if not successful disappearance? The woman in 4B knows your name as Daniel and nothing else. The cashier at the grocery store asks if you want paper or plastic and never looks twice. Your supervisor trusts you with closing inventory because you are reliable. A man who does not exist has managed to become routine to everyone around him. That should feel tragic. Some days it feels like victory. Then one night in winter you come home and see a sedan parked across from your building with its lights off. Your body reacts before your mind does. You do not panic. You keep walking. You do not look twice. You pass the vehicle, go up the stairs, unlock the apartment, close the door, and only then realize your hands are shaking. You stand in the kitchen listening. Nothing happens.
No footsteps. No knock. No gunfire.
The next day the sedan is gone. Maybe it was nothing. But for the first time since arriving, you understand how fear changes shape in a life like this. At the beginning, fear is dramatic. Later, it becomes administrative. It lives in parked cars, repeated faces, delayed elevators, footsteps that pause too long outside the wrong door. You check the deadbolt twice before bed. The next night you do it again. Then again. And after enough nights, the habit stops feeling like caution. It starts feeling like identity. Some people do not make it this far. Some break. The program has a phrase for it. Violation. A cold word for a warm human mistake. You call someone from your past. You search your real name online. You drive back to the old city just to see if it is still there. Maybe you tell yourself it is only for closure. Maybe you say you deserve one last look. Maybe you think the people hunting you have moved on. That is how it happens. Not with recklessness. With longing. The human brain is not built to amputate a life and keep walking without looking back at the blood. That is the part brochures never tell you. Missing your mother can be a security risk. Wanting to hear an old friend's voice can reset your entire existence. One call. One search. One visit. And the machine starts over. New city. New lease. New name. New cards in a new wallet. Some witnesses are relocated multiple times because they keep trying to return to the person they were. Greer tells you this once, not as a threat, but as a confession of how often he has watched it happen. They don't break the rules because they are stupid, he says. They break them because being no one for too long starts to hurt. You think about that sentence for days. Being no one for too long starts to hurt. That is the most honest thing anyone in the system has said to you. Years pass. That is the part no one dramatizes because time is not cinematic. It is repetitive. It wears you down in private. Year 3. Then 5. Then 8. By then your new identity has depth. Tax returns. Medical records. A manager who has known you long enough to call you dependable. A landlord who trusts you. A local diner where the waitress knows you like coffee first and menu later. This is how the transformation completes itself. Not through one big lie. Through 10,000 small confirmations. You become real by being treated as real for long enough. And the old you. The original you. The one whose name you spent the first few months trying to drag out of darkness. He starts fading. The dreams come less often. When they do come, the faces blur. You remember emotions before details. Fear. Urgency. Shame. Adrenaline. But not names. Never names. One Thanksgiving, the woman from 4B invites you to dinner with her sister's family because you shouldn't be alone on a holiday. You almost say no. Then you hear yourself say yes. You sit at a table with 6 people who know you as Daniel. They pass potatoes. Someone complains about gas prices. A boy asks what you do for work. You answer without thinking. Logistics. And everyone nods because of course you do. For an hour and a half, you are just another tired man in the Midwest with a quiet job and no family nearby. And something about that nearly destroys you. Because it feels good. Not exciting. Not thrilling. Good. Simple. Warm. You go home afterward and sit in the dark apartment without turning on the lights because you realize something terrifying. You are beginning to love a life you never chose. At 10 years, you become what the system never officially names but every handler recognizes. A lifer. A long-term protected witness whose old case is buried so deep in sealed records that even most people inside the government would struggle to find it without the right clearances. Your threat assessments slow down. The names that once shadowed your life are dead, imprisoned, or irrelevant. The organizations are weakened. The urgency is gone. But the habits remain. You still choose the seat facing the door in restaurants. You still scan parking lots before getting out of the car. You still check the deadbolt twice. Not because someone is coming. Because after enough years, caution stops being something you practice. It becomes your personality. And then, somewhere between year 10 and year 12, the final truth arrives. Not in a document. Not from Greer. From silence. From time. From the fact that nobody ever comes to tell you it is over. The Federal Witness Protection Program was never designed to save you. It was designed to save what you knew. The names. The dates. The accounts. The testimony. The things you carried into a courtroom or a grand jury room that powerful people needed buried. You were never the point. You were the container. The government built Daniel Aaron Mercer because the evidence inside you had value. Once the testimony was delivered, once the convictions landed, once the system got what it needed, keeping you alive became maintenance. Necessary maintenance. Important maintenance. But maintenance all the same. That realization should make you angry. Some days it does. Other days it just makes the architecture clearer. You were not rescued. You were preserved. And maybe that sounds cruel. But cruel things can still be true. Right now, somewhere in America, there is a man sitting in a grey Honda Civic in a grocery store parking lot with the engine off. He has been there for 27 minutes. His groceries are in the back seat. He is not watching anyone. No one is following him. No threat assessment raised alarms this month. He is just sitting there because going back into the apartment still feels, after all this time, like entering a life that was assembled around him by strangers. He has a name. A history. A job. Neighbors who nod. A coffee order. A dentist appointment next Thursday. He has a whole life. And none of it belongs to the person who started it. That person is protected. Classified. Archived. Buried under federal language and sealed files, and a statistic the Marshal Service loves to repeat. Not a single witness who followed the rules has ever been killed. That line sounds different when you have lived inside it long enough. Because survival is not the same thing as return. He takes the grocery bags out of the back seat. He walks upstairs, unlocks the door, locks it again behind him, checks the deadbolt twice, and somewhere between the first click and the second, he realizes the most terrifying thing of all. He is starting to forget what it felt like to be anyone else. If you made it this far, then you already understand what this story is really about. Not crime, not law, not even protection. It is about what happens when survival costs you your own reflection. And when you live long enough inside a borrowed name, the line between hiding and becoming disappears. Because the worst part of witness protection is not that someone wants the old you dead. It is that, eventually, the new you helps finish the job.